All right, GPP Master members, we're back for week 9. We are turning the corner. Week 8 was okay. If you watch this video, we did have the Watson Fuller stack, and that obviously was enormous. And it helped me in other areas where we weren't as strong, which is why we diversify, and it's why I use more than multiple quarterbacks in this video every week. Russell Wilson was obviously also a good stack. The Eagles D was solid, really good pick. It kind of sucked because Jordan Reed and Devonta Freeman had some injuries, so it was an okay week. It was a week made profitable, actually cash money last week because of Watson and Fuller, and honestly, Fuller, which I had said to use across the board in all lineups. So before we go on to week 9, we put an awesome strategy session together this week with me, Bill Enright, Willie Walls, and Nick Morgan, and you can go watch that on gppmaster.com if you missed it live on demand. But these sessions are absolutely how you make money. And we have had, again, $2 million of winners. We've had some great wins this year. I've come close, 3 millionaire makers in 100th place or less. We've had a member come in third in a millionaire maker. We've had a 100 grand winner. So watch the strategy session because week 9 to week 21, this is really, really where we start to gain an advantage. And we talked all about that on the session. So with that said, let's first talk about Deshaun Watson. What a horrible loss. Not only as a fantasy loss, because that is huge and it affects all those great players, Fuller, Hopkins, Lamar Miller, but just a tough loss all around. This guy was doing some amazing things in his rookie year and, making me money, as we just said, every week for the last 4 weeks. And, but he's really just a great guy, solid, good kid, and just a tough loss for the NFL. So we wish him the best. On to week 9 quarterback. So look, Drew Brees is first on my list. I am going to be playing, as always, weighted over 10 quarterbacks this week. But Drew Brees is up there with, number 1 on my list. $7,000, 28.5 point projected total for the Saints against a defense Tampa that is 30th against the pass. So the problem with Brees recently, honestly, has been the running game. It's been so good. Mark Ingram has been so good. They're running 20 times a game, and that's hurting Brees. But look, he's at home. He's due. This could be a shootout. This game should go high. And I think if there's going to be a week that Brees puts up 4 touchdowns and connects big, this is the week. So 7,000 is a pretty good price for him. A lot of exposure. Moving on to the Cowboys game. So look, Dak Prescott, as I said last week, he had a rough week. He only had 7 points on DraftKings, so that was a bummer. But he has been with Russell Wilson. If you want to just go safe and consistent and try to use your other positions to win a tournament, you're not going to go wrong with Dak or Wilson. They have been just tearing it up. 20, 25, 28 points most weeks. Can have a miss here and there like last week, but they're just really the 2 most consistent quarterbacks right now on DraftKings. This week, I love Dak against the Chiefs. I think this is a stackable game. I think you can go both ways. You can go Dak, Dez, Tyreek Hill, or Dak, Dez, Kareem Hunt, or you can go Alex Smith, Tyreek Hill, or Alex Smith, Kareem Hunt with Dez. I expect Dak is 6,700, Smith is 6,500. Both teams expected to score 25.8 points. Neither team very good against the pass. Big game. My concern in this game, obviously on the Dallas side, is no Zeke, most likely. So that changes things a little bit, but I think that becomes more of a game where Dak runs the ball a little bit and Dak throws a little bit more, maybe 5 to 6 more passes. That's a reason to take him. I do think it's also a Kareem Hunt game. So the difference in this one is going to be, does Kareem Hunt catch a touchdown pass, or does he run for a touchdown, a long one, because he's going to have a big game. So I like both of those guys. I also, coming back to the safety net of Russell Wilson, I mean, good total again this week against the middle defense, and Russell Wilson at home is just tearing it up right now. You're going to get consistent numbers. Not much of a running game there, so it's going to be all Russ running, Russ passing. So again, I like Wilson again. Now, we're going to jump down to a bunch of kind of one-shot quarterbacks. So I'm going to have Brees as my most weighted quarterback, then some sort of Dak Smith stack, kind of Dak 1 or 2, Smith 1 or 2, Wilson at least 2 with Richardson and Baldwin. And then I'm going to have Jared Goff, one lineup, 5,500 ducks. We'll come back to that stack later when we talk about receivers. But the Rams, 30.3 points a game, only trail Houston in points scored. This is a great spot. No Jenkins for the Giants. This is a game, again, Gurley is your concern here. Does he catch and run? Does he catch a long touchdown or does he run 20 times? That's your real own risk in this game. I think Goff puts up some good points here and is a solid, consistent play and may be the week that he actually can throw for a few more than just hand it off. I'm going to say it. I've been on this Joe Flacco thing since week 1. He's back from his concussion. He is $4,600 against a crappy Tennessee pass defense. Both of his receivers healthy. And again, at some point, Joe Flacco is going to connect deep for 2 or 3 touchdowns and have a big day. And when he does, he's going to be under 5% owned, and you're going to win a GPP, bottom line. So for $20 or $3, take a Flack. Stack him with Wallace. Drew Stanton. So everyone's down on this guy. He's playing a horrible team. San Francisco is just awful and thrown in the towel. And Jimmy Garoppolo is not playing this week, and they're injured. While this does shape up to be a run-the-ball game for Arizona, they have a lot of weapons, and we just don't know. I mean, Drew Stanton hasn't played much. So is he worth a flyer at 4,700 with Larry Fitz? Probably. Again, you're trying to differentiate yourself, and then that gives you a lot of options to play running backs and receivers. That brings me to Tom Savage. Tom Savage was benched halfway through week 1. That was too early. Forget what happened afterwards. It was the right move in hindsight. Deshaun Watson, we just talked about, has been an absolute stud, the quarterback of the future. But Tom Savage, was the starting quarterback to start the season. He's not that bad, and he has weapons, man. He's a pocket passer. He's going to actually step back and throw more. He has Fuller and Hopkins and Miller and Griffin. So, again, he might suck, but he has the potential to throw 4 touchdowns, especially against Indy in this horrible pass defense they have. So, again, I will have 1 out lineup exposure or maybe even 2 to Savage. And then I'm going to real quickly, Carson Wentz, Cam Newton. Wentz is playing Denver. Tough matchup, as we know, but he's been on fire, and he seems kind of matchup proof right now. And Denver's struggling a little bit. So he'll be low owned because of that game. So, again, worth a lineup just because how hot he's been. And Cam's hot or cold. We know Kelvin Benjamin's out of town. They're saying that's going to open up a deeper, faster, rookie, young receivers going deep. We'll come back to McCaffrey in a minute. So I will have some exposure to Cam in that game. So those are my quarterbacks. Those are the most important part of my strategy, as you guys know. Moving on the running back, Kareem Hunt's $8,600, top on the board. Playing Dallas 30th against the run, 20th against the running back out of the backfield. The guy's due. He's still, a bad week is still a floor of 14 or 15 or 16. A good week is a ceiling of 35, 40. They're going to focus on him. That's my only Alex Smith concern. But again, if Hunt catches a touchdown pass, it opens that up. So if you can play some of these cheaper quarterbacks, you have the ability to spend up for Hunt at 8,600. So Christian McCaffrey has been just a killer for people. Everyone expects more. He's only running 3 times a game, so he's basically a receiver in the backfield. But now Benjamin's out of town. Stewart is doing nothing. This is a big game for them. They're playing a 27th ranked run defense in this game. Here's the thing about McCaffrey. He's not as bad as people think. He's actually 12, 14, 15 points, even when he sucks. And at some point, he is going to go off. He's going to have a game where he breaks a 70-yarder, whether it's a run or a pass. And I think he'll be a focus this week with Benjamin out of town because they're going to look downfield, and then they're going to look to McCaffrey without Olsen. So I'm not giving up on him. Everyone else will. We're going to win a tournament with him at some point. So play McCaffrey. Take your shot. Todd Gurley, 8,100. Look, again, that's the same thing. That kind of offsets. You can't really play him with Goff unless you want to try that stack. But Gurley's been unbelievable. The Giants are terrible against the run. Giants' defense is not what they were. So got to have a little exposure to Gurley. Saints. So this is contradictory because I said I love Drew Brees as my number 1 quarterback. That means he's going to pass. But the Saints have been running the ball, which has limited Brees. Mark Ingram's been awesome. I've never been a believer, but week after week, the guy's just bringing it in daily fantasy. And Kamara has come up there at 6,300 versus Ingram's 7. But Kamara's your better bet if you want to kind of roll the dice on the running and passing game there. Last week he had a nice touchdown. I had him in a stack with Breeze, as you guys know from the video. So I'll have some exposure to both of the Saints guys, but I'm going to go a little bit more Kamara and roll my dice with kind of a big play PPR pass from Brees situation. Alex Collins, $4,600. You never know what the Ravens are going to do, but they seem to be giving this kid a shot here, and he looks really hungry and good. And he had a phenomenal week last week, and he's $4,600. And if he does get the ball 15 times against Tennessee, that's a play right there and save a lot of money. So I'll have some good exposure to Collins. Going to keep an eye on the Adrian Peterson-Ellington situation. If Ellington is healthy, I'll probably stay away from AP. Maybe have a little bit of Ellington at 3,900. If Ellington's out, then I think Peterson, a little bit of exposure. I don't really believe in him, but he has look, anyone who's playing San Francisco, you want to play that running back. And keep an eye on Doug Martin, 29th against the run. Don't love it, but the Saints do give up yardage, and they may try to control the ball in that game. And Winston's a little banged up, and he's only $5,800. So again, another one I wouldn't be uncomfortable using.